So I'm how far? This house is from 1908. That's my dad lives, and I'm about 20 minutes from north of a town called Staples. So I'm really like out in the middle of nowhere. And then I look on this map, and the river my dad lives on goes like this, right? And I was like, how far is it if I jumped in a canoe and you drop me off here? How far is it to get here? And he goes, 6 hours. I'm like, all right, drive me up north and drop me off. So yesterday he drove me up north, dropped me off, and I had a little bar and I had my electrolytes. And I thought, I'm just going to coast down the river and just chill and do nothing. Right. That's what I
Yeah.
thought. So, besides being 50 years old and after drinking water, having to take a bathroom break, so I get out and I'm go to the bathroom. I'm out in the middle of nowhere, so I don't really care. And as I look down, I took pictures of it. There's a huge bear print in the sand, which means not wet sand,
Probably a
which
bear that
means
just was there.
yes, it's fresh. It's very fresh. And I would look down and I'm like, looking around, I'm like, my head was on a swivel because you're just surrounded by all this high brush and trees. It's not like you can see out in the middle of everything. You're surrounded by
Yeah.
these high brush and trees and
This
everything.
is northern Minnesota, so it's got to be like 30 degrees outside.
Well, no, yesterday wasn't. The water's really cold, but the weather yesterday up here wasn't bad. We have a heat wave
Hmm.
coming in from all the stuff, so it was like 70 degrees, but it was 30 in the morning, but 70 in the afternoon. And
But
so,
I assume
yeah,
since you're still with us today, no bear.
it was at first, yes, no bear. I mean, it was pretty cool to see a big old bear print like that, and all the other stuff. But and all the bald eagles, and then I saw an American eagle, and American eagles are bigger than bald eagles, and that was pretty cool. But you're just chilling, and it's totally peaceful. You hear no cars, you hear
Hmm.
no people because there are no people. There was two houses all the way up until I got closer to town. No houses for like the first 4 or 5 hours, but all the river's low. So here I'm thinking I'm just going to relax. I never stopped oaring, in your kayak, or whatever they call that. I call it oaring. And
Oaring.
I'm telling you, you think you're going to
Paddling
go for paddling? Yeah, you can call it paddling.
with that.
You think you're going to go for just a relax? No, I paddled for hours and hours. And every time I came around a corner, I'm like, okay, this is it. His house is right around the corner. Nope. This is it. His house is right around the corner. Nope. And I'm like, screw it. I missed it. I'm just going to flow in this river until I get to the city.
And at some point, you have to have said to yourself, did I pass it? Did I pass
Oh,
it?
I
Like,
just knew there was a bridge. And I'm like, okay, if I pass the bridge, I'm going to have to get out and like walk to my dad's house because you can't go up against the current. You're not going to get
right.
anywhere.
Right.
So finally, well, luckily my dad was sitting outside because you can't see the house. You're just surrounded
Yeah.
by forest. It's not like you can see anything. Thank goodness my dad was sitting out there waiting for me. He's like, oh, I thought it'd take you 5 hours. Typically takes you 6. And I'm like, I figured.
How many
I mean,
people has he sent down this bear-infested river?
not that far. Nobody.
Well, then
I'm the
how did
only
he know
one.
it takes 6 hours?
Because he talked to the guy where he dropped me off. It's a
Uh,
place called Wahoo. And he said, yeah, it takes about 6 hours to get to your place. So my dad waited for me. But dude, when you're going to the bathroom and you look down and I took a picture of the bear pot. It's like that big. Your whole perspective changes where you think you're just in this peaceful place. You're just chilling, and all of a sudden you're like, look down and you're like, and I'm just like, holy crap. I'm like, I'm gonna stay calm. But pushing off, the thing is, it's kind of like when you turn the lights off if you have a basement and you turn the lights off and you go upstairs, you kind of go a little bit faster because you think somebody might be behind you. When I was pushing off my canoe or my kayak, I was pushing it off and I was pushing it off a little bit faster and I'm like, just get me into the damn river,
Just a
please.
little bit more than normal.
I don't need to get kinged out. I don't need to get attacked from behind. I'm like, but yeah, it
Well,
was
that's
good. It was
exciting
really good.
weekend.
Well, that's what I'm only an hour or so from Canada. So
Yeah.
it's really far north. It's not like, it's like if you get hurt or you fall in the water, good thing I had my phone in like this waterproof bag and I had it all secure. But yeah, definitely fun. So, anyways, that's what I did yesterday. So,
Well, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself a little bit to the people now that they know all about
yeah,
kayaking adventure this
yes,
weekend?
yes. So, my name is Marty Flanagan. I'm the president of Iron 24, our fitness franchise that is exploding. Like I tell David, I think we have a baby tiger by the tail, and as it grows, it's going to continue to take off. And the reason we see that is we see how our franchisees are performing, and we see how our franchisees are grabbing a hold of the model as it is and really making it their own. And what that's been doing for us, and I don't want to get too far off here, but what that's been doing for us is really allowing us to continue to take what we're doing with our technology and transform that. And we get this opportunity then to give our members and give our franchisees a product that is actually coming from their feedback.
Hmm.
Not, hey, we're going to put this in the pipeline, we'll get to it next year. That's a really great idea. We'll do that someday. We're actually able to, we have this incredible opportunity of this like real time like tech development. And like that
Yeah.
is not something that happens very often in franchising, where you have real time tech development happening, where we're making these changes. For an example, we made a change inside of our CRM recently last week from a request. And we made we had to set a certain date. We had needed it on this window. It wasn't there. And we were able to make that change really quickly. And we would never have been able to even know that that change was needed unless we have people using the system and then telling us, oh, you know what would be nice if I could set a follow-up date with this candidate on like in this screen. They're like, oh, okay, yeah, here's how you do that. And we had to make a little tweak, and that was there for us.
Yeah, one
And
of the nice things from a technical standpoint is that we've been building this for like 8 years, through all of our brands. It's not like we just stood up some off the shelf version of some CRM or ticketing management system or whatever. I mean, we ate our own dog food for a long time. So like just having the flexibility and the control over our own product means we can build it exactly like we want it to. And I think that's, a little bit different than when, say, if a normal franchisor was to get started up, they probably just going to buy, some off the shelf system, or maybe, have just a real rudimentary tracking system and all this stuff, but it doesn't all come together. And like you said, like we can get that feedback pretty quick and just go talk to a franchisee or talk to a customer or whatever, and make that change. And
and what
and the
you know
system
what
was built to work on any brand. So it's like I don't have to do this just for Iron 24 because I already had to do it for some other brand, you know.
Well, and customer follow-up is customer follow-up, right?
Right.
When you're built, I mean, yes, you're going to need different cadences and things which are easy I would say customize to our different brands. That makes it really simple, or different uses of it. But one thing that what I'm really starting to see with that is, because we're able our because of being a franchise and you have franchisee feedback coming in. In so many situations, franchisees' voices don't feel like they're being heard. And it's a common thing in franchising. It's not just one franchise over another. It's franchising in general, where franchisees, and if you look at this what's that one thing that runs through every side of franchising and every brand across the planet? There's multiple, but the one that mostly franchisees hear about the most is, my franchisor doesn't hear me. My franchisor doesn't support me. My franchisor doesn't care about what I'm saying or what I think, and then my franchisor is making all these decisions without my feedback. And they feel like they're not being supported, and they feel like they're not being heard. And being that franchising is all about trust and profitability, when you see your franchisees performing and giving you feedback, and then you're able to take that feedback and make changes
Or
rather quickly.
underperforming and giving you feedback. Either way, it works.
Yeah, either way it works. And I guess what I'm trying to say is that we are doing something with technology that I believe is out of the hands of many franchisors, because they don't control their technology. they are using a third-party system, which then they have to then go to that system to ask for changes to be made and then get a timeline back and get a budget set. And they have more hoops to jump through. As a franchisor that controls the technology, we can inch our way forward in a much more personalized and customized way so that our franchisees can use tools immediately, or well, hopefully immediately when we make these changes. And some changes are great. And some changes they're just unrealistic. Some of the technology doesn't even exist yet for some of the suggestions we get, which is okay. But at least building trust through technology is something that when you control it, is a very tricky business to be in, because then you also can get blamed for not making the changes. It's really easy. You can do it. It's never, if it's really easy and you can do it, technology would always do it. But it's never as easy as sometimes, and I'm guilty of it, because I'll call David and be like, "Oh, this seems easy. We could do blah blah blah," and David will give a snicker and be like, "Not quite as easy as you think."
I think what I like to see out of our team is, we can stack some easy wins, some things that are legitimately easy for us, and it makes a huge difference. And so, like if I see something, this field needs to be in a different place, or can I change this setting or whatever, and it just needs to be a little bit of a tweak somehow. Like usually I'll jump on there and just get it done, or Nick will, and we'll work hand in glove and get that stuff out as quick as possible. And that way, these little things, it's never like the whole system doesn't work. It's usually the straw that broke the camel's back, right? It's just like you just keep getting these little things that aren't quite right. You got workarounds. And so as many of those little things that aren't quite right that we can get right quicker, I mean, I think that's just the benefit to the whole system. It makes everybody happy and want to actually use it, and instead of, looking at it as a hindrance to your operations or something like that. So, yeah, technology is great. I mean, that's what I worked on last week. I mainly worked on getting the new application for Earn24 done, which is going to be pretty slick. I'm really liking it's going through a redesign phase right now, where I'd show you some screenshots of it. It's definitely in function over form mode. Dave built it to work, and now Eduardo is going to take it and make it look pretty.
And Stacy's going to try to break what you made.
That is correct. She's breaking things. Just a few things that I saw in the old app that was mentioned to me by franchisees and customers was, for example, the login was about, to get signed up, it was too many clicks. You just had too many steps in there in our existing app to get going. So, anytime we want to lower that bar as much as possible, right? So how do we get to a point where a customer can come download the app, basically just verify their phone number, enter their first last email, and then start buying something? Like that's what we want. We don't want to have a bunch of, what we had before was like the cool technology that lets you log in everywhere and do all this stuff, but we didn't need it. It was just like an overkill. So now we're drawing that back a little bit, kind of re-engineering it to fast-paced get start mode. And it's so much better. Just me using it in my test environment, I'm like, yeah, this is gonna change some things. So
what do you think, and what everything that you've done so far in terms of that you've dove into this, what are the top two things that you see that are really going to make, maybe or more, but I was just thinking top two that you think are like these were big changes, not just for an immediate but also like long term? Because what I've learned about technology is you can have somebody build something all day long, and that's great, but maintaining that technology and redesigning that technology, upgrading that technology as you go along, that's the hard part. Because if you don't stay with the same company, let's say you outsource it and then they do something, and then all of a sudden now, okay, they're done building, now I need to find somebody to maintain it, and now we go to a different company, and if they wrote it in a different language, or they don't have the idea of the direction they were supposed to be going, they use two different types of languages, maybe technologies, and then they built it off of a shaky platform, and then they take it over. And next thing they're going to say to you is, this just happened to a franchisor. I know this is true. Then this company says, oh, we need to rebuild all that because what they did it on, we can't work on for very long.
Yeah. Well, luckily for Nick and I, we're pretty good at this, and we've done it for a long time. And so what you were saying is absolutely true. The first version, we hired some nearshore folks, and because we were starting a franchise and we were doing a whole bunch of other stuff, so he and I couldn't work on it directly. But then it always becomes like it's what's in my brain has to go through like two different people, a game of telephone, and then it comes out of some development process from people who literally don't speak English as their first language. It's just it's just very difficult to get the product exactly like you envisioned it in the beginning. And so now we set aside the time here in the first the third quarter of this year specifically to make sure that we got a new version out by the end of the year. And I think the biggest things that I can see to answer your question is, I said the better login, but I also, and the customer experience is way better, but also like just go into the home page and it automatically pulling up your closest locations and all the doors so that whenever a customer sees it, they can, just click a button and it opens the door right away. There's no intermediate step like select a location, like there's not a bunch of clicks to get the door open. It's just boom.
Yeah. So the reciprocity wise, the technology then is picking up on where you're at, what club you're in.
Right.
And then does all that on the back end.
It was always going to your home club, and then it would say, like, you're not close enough if you were at a guest gym. And then you say, find another location, and you just had to do a bunch of little steps. Now it just always finds your closest location, and it says, hey, you're standing in front of, Pearland, and you just say, boop, and it opens the door. And it's really fast to open the door, too. On the franchisee side, I went ahead and added a kind of cool thing, which I like because I'm, a gym owner too. I own 5 of them. So anytime I'm in one of those gyms, especially the one I go to all the time, I see people in there at the same time of day, and I know who comes in there. And I know, typically I like to talk to everybody and say, hey, you must be new here. I haven't seen you before or something like that. But every now and then you get this like weird look on somebody's face. They're like, is he going to catch me? Did I do something? Especially if they're there with like a couple of people. And I have to be like, oh, are all y'all members here? And it just makes it kind of like an awkward conversation.
Yeah.
And I don't want that anymore. So like what I built was a page in my app that I can just say, okay, show me all the recent visits for this club that I'm currently at. And I want to see if it has any kind of tailgating issue. I want you to go ahead and I can click that. It'll say, it'll have a little icon that indicates tailgating. And then I can click it and it brings up the ticket from FCOS. And you can just see, I can see the picture, the last 4 pictures that when they came in, and I can see a video of if they came in with somebody else. So now I don't have to have that weird conversation about, are you sure you're all members? Now I walk up to a family of 4 or, a group of 4 guys that are working out, and I'm like, thank you all for being great members.
Yeah.
I know with confidence that you guys actually did the right thing and came in here, And I think that's just like a little thing, but it changes the conversation, right? It changes it from a potentially negative situation to a positive one.
It's critically important. And the reason reciprocity, so here's what happens. And this has been happening for 20 years now in 24-hour gyms. This is a common thing that happens. It doesn't make a difference which one it is. Well, now it does with us because we have a way of managing it way better. But what'll happen is we have to train our members. And there's 2 different ways franchisees go to train members. They're the authoritarian approach, or they have that nice passive approach. And the authoritarian approach comes typically when it could come up with a spillover in life. Maybe you just got into a fight with your kid. Maybe you stubbed your toe. You're going to go to your gym. You're going to walk in. You see these things happening, and then you're just going to go silverback gorilla, get angry. It's like authoritarian approach to train your members.
That's my default setting, by the way. I'm like Bruce Banner. I'm always angry.
What this allows them to do is it allows you to be able to even message a member, talk to a member. The members already know, but you have to train your members. And by taking a more gentle approach to it, which is what I call member care, even if they're not a member, there's a way of approaching somebody and saying, hey, David, We love that you love our club so much that you brought a guest in with you today. You can say this to their face, and I'm glad you came in, but we need to have you register. Because can you imagine, David, if your wife or your daughter were in here all by themselves working out at 10 o'clock at night, and a guy comes in and four of his buddies come in and they don't check in? It's not a safe environment. And
Right.
we focus on safety. I don't care about the 1 day guest pass. What I care about is my members' safety.
Yeah.
So when you explain it to a tailgater in a way of safety first, and you give them a real life example, it starts to train them to say, this is not because he's a greedy owner. Authoritarian is a greedy owner. When you go authoritarian wise and you don't explain to them the safety of a member, they're going to automatically think it's about money and that this is your turf and you're kicking them out, right? We go the passive explaining education route. We change their perspective, and now they care. Now they want to talk. Now they're like, okay, I get it. He's super nice. He's not
Yeah.
being mean. He cares about his members being safe.
And we talked about this a little bit last time. Like, if you go the authoritarian approach and you were the sales guy and you have all these other kind of negative indicators like leading into the relationship, yeah, of course they're going to leave. Like, the only person they know is going to be a negative person, like, and it could be the best gym in the world. And if you have negative
So
people around them all the time, it's just not going
yeah,
to be. So do the opposite of that. Let the
and I'm
technology be the bad guy. Let the
yeah.
technology sign them up and be the sales guy. Let the technology send them a push notification when they have a tailgating experience that says, hey, here's the picture. We got you, but do you want to give your friend a guest pass and go ahead and invite him today? Or do you want to go ahead and pay the fine or whatever you want to do? Like, give them some options just to let them know, look, this is for the safety of all of our members that you do this.
So I'm in a really small town, really far north right now. And so I was like, hey, I'm going to go to a coffee shop. There's two coffee shops in this small town, and there's another coffee shop 25 minutes away. So I'm like, okay, there's nothing else around here. I'm going to go to these coffee shops. One wasn't open. One doesn't allow you to use their bathroom. So you can just sit there. And when I walked in, I was like,
You can't
oh,
use the
hey,
bathroom in a coffee shop.
yep, can't use the bathroom. And so, which is super strange. And I was like, but when I walked into this coffee shop and this place to sit down, can't use the bathroom. And I just asked a couple simple questions. And I just said, well, I got the whole, no, nope, you can't. And I'm like, nothing else, no
To be clear,
explanation.
you've never been in there and destroyed their
Never,
bathroom or something.
never,
You've never
never
gone
been
in
in.
there and cussed out the register lady or something.
First
Like,
time, first
okay,
time I ever
okay.
walked in the
Just
front
setting the
door.
stage here.
I didn't get a hello. Everybody else got a hello. I didn't get a hello or a goodbye. I asked a question if I could use the restroom while I was there. No, you can't. I'm like, oh, okay. Sorry. I didn't try to, like, the way I got talked to was like, whoa. So I just like grabbed my coffee and I'm like, you know what? This is just not a good environment. And I thought I would leave. So I drive 25 minutes to another coffee shop, and I walk in and I was like, can I get a cup of coffee? I look around. I'm like, oh, there's no place to sit in here, huh? She's like, nope. And I was like, oh, okay. And like, it's so short, so like non-accommodating. I don't care about, like, it's just this whole idea. And then the
I
other
think you
coffee
guys had
shop,
Minnesota Nice going on.
the other coffee shop called the Witch's Brew. They are amazing.
Yeah.
Huge place to sit, big library, closed on Mondays.
That stuff wouldn't float in the South. Like
No.
the nasty part, not the closed on Mondays, but
I have a feeling they know that I'm from out of town. Since there's only 300 people that live here, I have a feeling that they know I'm from out of town. So I think they thought I was just passing through or something.
there's still no reason to be a jerk to somebody.
You're right. And that's my whole point. Like, we as club owners, when people come in, they have plenty of options.
Yeah.
They don't have to be at our club. They don't have
That's
to
right.
be here.
And you never know, a guest today might be your member tomorrow too, by the way. Like, that happens all the time.
Or
right?
your
If
guest
somebody
today
transfers
your guest today could be 5 new members because they're going to refer
right.
friends. And like, you think I'm going to tell anybody about these coffee shops? No way. I'm going to go on and give a raving review about the Witch's Brew because They have a huge library. They were super accommodating. Yeah, they're closed today, but the other day they weren't, and they're super accommodating. It was awesome, a great experience, and they just opened the other day. And I'm like, okay, so they're going to get a raving review with my pictures. Am I going to talk trash about the other one? No, because I don't do that. The other two, but I'm not going to
Don't
refer
use the app
anybody.
and invite your friend to come over there. Oh, by the way, that's what I just put in our app too. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Invite a friend, and now it all just kind of works together, and they can invite their friends, and then they get a free month subscription, which our franchisees can set up. Like if they don't want to give any perk, they can still just invite a friend. But if they want to give, $25, $50, whatever they want to give, they can set it up. I have it set up so that it'll do it like after 90 days, you'll get 50
Yeah, I was
bucks.
saying, is that based off usage? Because if that's like when they use the club 25 times, they get a $25,
I just based
little
it on
credit.
days.
Okay,
Yeah. So like
nice, nice,
after 90 days, which is, 3 months effectively. So yeah,
nice.
that was
That's
something
awesome.
the franchisees were really asking for because right now, it's a little bit of a pain to get people to sign up on their app and then adjust their account if that other person signs up and everything. So that was an easy thing for us to kind of throw in there and make work right. And it just saves tons of time,
Well,
and
and kind
referrals
of
are the
talking it.
cheapest leads you're
Yeah.
going to get, right? Referrals are
Oh
going
my,
to
that's it.
always the cheapest.
It's a golden brick
Dude,
road.
yeah. So let's set
Referrals
up
are
a really
that's.
robust, referral program that works for everybody.
And kind of going into that franchisee, so this same system we use as obviously we use on our franchisor side of our operations, our franchise development, our follow-up process. So kind of shifting a little bit, we've changed, people will ask David and I all these questions about how to recreate what happened with our last brand that we grew, that was, what, 4 years, 5 years, 800 and some territories, multiple countries. We were firing off all cylinders. We always say the same thing, was the right time, the right product. So the right product, when I talk about product of that brand, and the right people. And
Yeah.
we created a sales culture that was more than just a technology platform. It was more than just an operational team that was excellent. It was bigger than that. And when you think about what that means in terms of technology and what we're doing here, we've had to change some things around because we have different customers. So
Yeah.
we have different cadences that we've changed with inside the system, which franchisees obviously can do with with their members. They can do that with potential members. They can do that with their current members. They can do it with past members. We do it on our side to engage new candidates, to engage hopefully new franchisees, and bring them into the system. And one thing that a lot of people don't realize when they start looking into a franchise is that your first 6 to 8 weeks, that's when you're more than likely going to make a decision. So many people say, I don't do it that way. I take 18 months. I take a year. I take 6 months. I take 4 months. You only take that long because you really, truly don't know what you want to do. There's
Yeah.
very
And
few
I think
people
that
on this
also leads to
planet.
what we want out of a franchisee. We want people who are assertive. They understand how to make a decision. They move the ball forward. Like I like the franchisees that get things, go from asking for information to becoming a franchisee in like 6 to 8 weeks because they're almost always business people that have been in the business before. They always understand, like you need to kind of stay on a timeline. Like they just, for lack of a better word, they kind of get it, right? Like we can't sit in the franchise development cycle for a year or something
So
like
I
that.
had,
And they're
so this
probably going to get
morning,
open faster too because of that. And that's what
so
we
this,
want, as a
yep.
franchisor.
And so like this morning, for example, I had like 48 follow-ups. And as I go through those follow-ups, because they automatically come into my system, as I go through those follow-ups, they're different than my scheduled follow-ups that I have with I want to call active living, working with me candidates. Those are different than ones that are automated. And when I looked at the automated ones, some of them were like 6 months old, 8 months old,
Mhm.
no replies, never replied to my emails, never replied to my text
Yeah.
messages. And you really have to, as a
You got
as
to
a
call those dead at
professional,
some point.
yeah, you have to like make the call eventually and say, okay, how long do I go before I just say, this is taking up too much of my time. I need to focus on those that that are engaging with me, and I'm engaging with them. So there's when you're using a system like ours, in terms, I'm saying system, not just technology, but understanding the franchisee mindset. And when you're talking to other franchisors and they're telling you the same thing, they have a 6 to 8 week window. Now,
Mhm.
their leads might be different because they might be qualifying differently than we're qualifying. They could be a different source from where they're getting theirs. But all that set aside, it's still that 6 to 8 week window.
Yeah.
And no matter where those leads are coming from. And so the reason I bring this up is a lot of times, a lot of folks will they don't do their own groundwork first before calling a franchisor. They actually just call. They just email.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that, but then there has to be work behind it.
You got to
So
show some like want to, you got to show like if we give you a little homework, which we do actually, we give you a couple of videos to watch and a couple of things to research on your own because we want to see that you can take a little bit of direction too. Like if this is a two-way conversation, but you're coming to a franchisor to get the secret sauce. You got to be able to take the secret sauce and implement it. So like do those things, but you got to do them. You got to
yeah,
proactively set time aside, schedule it in your busy life. Because if you're too busy right now to watch a video on YouTube that we put out, you're probably going to be too busy to run a gym later. Like so
and
we
one
need to
thing,
see some feedback, like for the
yeah.
good franchisee notion, right?
And so this leads us to the next call David and I are going to do, that we're actually going to walk through your pre-calling franchisor checklist. So
Yeah,
before you call a
here's what you should do.
franchisor, here's what you need to do. And we're doing it as like a public service announcement type of thing,
The
because
more you know.
the more you know, the better it's going to be for you.
Yeah,
For you, for you listening and you watching. The next call we do is going to walk you through. We'll probably do it this week. And what we're going to do is walk you through what do you need to do before you're now. All these other websites out there of these brokers, which I'm not ripping on brokers at all. A lot of brokers out there, they'll have like, make sure you got this and make sure you do that and make sure you do this. But what they're not doing is bringing the FAQs with it. Some of the websites do it. You got to read through it. What David and I are going to do is we're going to walk you through the checklist, but then we're going to talk about the FAQs. How do we know what those are? Because in the last 8 years, we have
yeah,
done probably close to 10,000 introductory calls, which means, hi, I'm interested in your franchise. My name is Shannon, right? And then I'm talking to you, Shannon, right? Okay, those calls like that, we've done well over 10,000 in the last 8 years. So we know exactly, not exactly, but we have a pretty good idea of the questions that are going to come up, the processes, and what it's going to take. We clicked on all cylinders for years and years and years and years. And then we had obviously economy differences. There's inflation. We're in an election year. We have all these excuses on why the past didn't work. But change needs to happen no matter what.
yeah.
Just because we did in the past, we can take that and build off of it. But what that's going to allow us to do, and the value of that to you, is going to be, you're going to be able to hear, this is why you need to get this done, and here are the questions that come with it. Well, do I do online funding? Do I do crowdsource funding? Do I call somebody? What's the advantages? And like, I can have guests come on and talk all day long about their company and how great they are for you, but that's not an FAQ of a process. That's selling you on their services. And we're not going to do that.
Yeah, I think
So,
it's a lot more helpful to have like 5 minute shorts on every single question that you might come up. Like let's say the top 20 that we can think of off of the top of our
yep.
head that we happily answer all the time, but if you can have it in a different way and you can consume it on your own time, or you can consume it, you know, in a format that maybe is a little better for you, like why wouldn't we do that? And it's easy
Well,
for us to produce. I put out 5 of them like last week and just
mhm.
dropped them, and Andy got them up on the website, up on YouTube, like super quick. So
Well, and think of it like this: franchise support, and like that's a moving target, right? We always got to be adjusting franchise support. We have to have all these different angles because people like to learn differently. We have to do town halls, and we have newsletters, and then we have individual phone calls, and then we use
yeah,
technology on top of that. Well, when you're a candidate looking for a franchise, it's no different. You have to find your learning channel. How do you like to learn best? What do you need to know? You may not need to talk about funding, but maybe you need to talk about real estate quickly. Maybe you don't need to talk about real estate. Maybe you need to talk about funding. Maybe you don't know what brand you need to do. Maybe you have
Right.
no idea. So we're going to touch on these things, and it's going to be, we'll keep them like little 5-minute segments, and then you'll be able to just click on it because you had questions on funding. Click, watch that 5 minutes. So we're going to do that because we feel like it's going to help you engage with us better as well. And if you take that information and you decide to run off somewhere else with it, fine. That's okay. It's a big world. The YouTube's got millions of videos, and so does X. Everything will be fine. We just want to engage with you better. So that's why we're going to be doing these.
Yeah, I mean, from my perspective, I was the franchise candidate at one point in exactly the same situation. And I was the guy that like listened to all the calls. They didn't have YouTube back then, but I listened to all the calls. They might have had YouTube, but the people didn't distribute content like this anymore back then. I watched all the videos I could. I read all the materials, and like when I first talked to the franchise development person like you, I said, "This is gonna be the easiest thing you've ever done. Just send me the FDD, and I'll sign the receipt, and then 15 days from now, we're gonna sign up." Like, and I did. It was like 20 days because I was going on vacation, but yeah, it was
Yeah, I
super,
think
super quick and
YouTube
easy.
back then was just like a guy filming a train locomotive that was rare,
Right.
driving by. Hey, look at that locomotive.
It
And
wasn't
that was
quite
it.
that long ago, but yeah.
He was like taking his VHS and bringing it digital and then uploading it. That's what he was doing.
Betamax, bro. Betamax. Anywho, there's a couple other things this week that I'll be working on. I don't know exactly if you have some other agenda items, but I can hit a couple of my highlights. Iron Health is something I want to touch on real quick. It's something I'm super excited about. One of our franchisees came to us, and he owns a couple of like small studio personal training deals. And you always talk about how Iron 24 is the most flexible gym out there. And I'm not like, blah, blah, blah. I'm not saying that, but it is. But this is a good example of that because most gyms wouldn't have let him be a franchisee in the first place. Like most franchise brands would have just said, no, you can't compete against us at your other locations. But we're like, why not? Guy's obviously a stud. He's got tons of information. Like he's done this 5 other times successfully.
Yep.
And he wants a little something different from our angle, and he wants to be a part of a bigger system. And so we said, yeah, come on board. Happy to have you. Well, it turns out this guy wants to, and it has built an amazing program from his other side, his personal training side. It's a full virtual coaching network. It has a full nutrition plan. It's done. And he's like, why don't we just make this part of Iron Health? And we'll call it Iron Coaching and integrate it into the new app, which is coming out, soon. And I'm like, I love it. And so that's what I'm working on in the next week is really refining all of that process, how it works for our franchisees. And from our franchisees' perspective, it's amazing because not only do you get new members, but you'll get a sales team. They're going to run the sales team for the online virtual coaching.
Nice.
You'll get everything. Like basically,
Yeah.
you just sit back and collect money and take care of the customer in your location. And then his team does everything else.
And that's a retention tool.
Oh, it's a huge retention tool.
Huge.
And then when you parlay that into things like, okay, while they got you on the call and you're doing coaching, the very best thing you can do is take these supplements because you need to make sure your nutritional balances are all right in addition to your eating. Some people, that's not enough. If you really want to do this fast, you want to lose the weight, we also have GLP-1s that you can get on. You've heard about Ozempic, you've heard about, Wegovy or Mounjaro, which, by the way, where did they come up with those names?
I don't know.
They're like the hardest names in the world to remember, but whatever.
Yeah, try to spell them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Anyway, I think they just like throw extra J's and Z's in there just to mess with you. Anyway, we've got them. Now we're working with a compound pharmacy that does all of the building of the materials. And we don't have to do it because we don't want to become certified medical practitioners, but we work with the companies that do it. They integrate with our systems. They get the customers, members, everything they need. And then your member is now working with their Iron 24 certified coach to implement that strategy together.
and make
They're
the
not
best of
alone.
it.
They're not alone.
Yep.
So you talk about a retention tool. You're giving them the access to GLP-1s. You're giving them proper nutrition. You're giving them proper supplemental access, which is all branded, by the way. And then they also have this a homie to like walk them through the whole process. I don't know how you can do it better. Like frankly,
Yeah.
you're giving them
Because you're
world
having professional help. Yeah. And yeah, professional help. You're not like and it's a track record of success in that professional help, and that virtual coaching if they choose to go down that road. So
Sure. And
this
obviously, I haven't even
guy's
talking about the
incredible.
recovery upsell angles and all that side of our house, which is so important, but just the gym side, just,
Yeah.
creating a workout plan, not even a recovery plan yet. That's just huge. We think it's gonna, I don't know for sure, but it's somewhere in the $60,000 to $80,000 range of just bottom line money. I got to do some more math on it, but that was my first pencil in, and that's pretty not aggressive, by the way, very
Yeah.
conservative.
Yeah, because you figure personal training dollars, if somebody's bringing in $5,000 to $10,000 a month in personal training dollars, I mean, $10,000 a month in personal training dollars is $120,000 a year. And my
Yeah,
clubs that I had, $10,000 a month was considered a very, very, very weak month.
yeah.
So now we're talking about a different model. We're talking about
I
different
mean,
approach.
franchisees have to do nothing. They don't have to find the trainers. They don't have to do
Yeah.
marketing. They don't have to, do anything other than just sign up for the program. So
Virtual coaching, I believe virtual coaching is 100% going to take
it's
over.
over. You look at
It,
all the
it's
kids that come in when I say kids, I mean under 30, because I'm
yeah.
not under 30 anymore. But the kids, the 18 to 30-year-olds that are in our gym, none of them have personal trainers. They all have virtual coaches. They're like walking around with these little sticks, and the
Yeah.
virtual coaches watching them work out, and they're like, and you can hear them. They got them in their earbuds, but they're loud. And they're, no, you're doing that wrong. Straighten up, straighten your back, like whatever.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy. Anyway, I'm super excited about Iron Health and what that's going to bring to the brand. But it's just like when you're working out. If you didn't work out your core, all your other exercises are going to start like wavering a little bit. What we did was we put our core in there first, and we made sure it was strong. Is our cores? Low cost to open, low cost to operate, lots of different flexibility options.
Thank you
That's our
for
core.
saying that. Thank you for saying that.
Right?
Yes.
And now we can do these bolt-on action things that are optional. You don't have to do it. If you
Yep.
don't want to make 80 grand extra a year, fine. But if you have these little bolt-on things that are just great for your members, that help with nutrition, that help with all these things, so that you run a more successful business. Like, I think that's the way to go. You could probably tell I'm super excited about that one.
There's three things that I tell everybody when outside the core is you spend just as much of your energy on your recovery. So when you look at your fitness floor, it takes up a bigger percentage, okay, of the floor, obviously, but your recovery. Look at AJ in Randolph, New Jersey. Look at Sam in Pittsburgh. You look at Knoxville. They put time and energy and care into their recovery. When you walk into you want to be in that recovery.
Yeah.
You want to be in it. And you don't just want to walk by it. You want to be in. You're like, whoa, that looks like a really cool room. I need to do that. And then the science is there. You have little education things out there, but spend just as much care on recovery as you do with your fitness. I know it's a different percentage of the floor, but it will matter for you.
Sure. And that's why we're expanding that part. I got, our sister brand coming soon for recovery options, Recover 24. Those are going to be in tandem, and all of our territories for Iron 24 are protected. We're not trying to move into the same territories, but sometimes you go into a market and it's got 40 friggin', gyms sitting around,
yes.
like big box, little shops, boutiques, you got whatever. And it's just like, okay, we're really not going to put another gym
in. Nobody's doing recovery in there.
And nobody's doing recovery.
Nobody.
And so what we did was we said, let's take everything that's great about the Iron 24 recovery options, put it in places where we don't have an Iron 24 option. right in the middle of those 40 different clubs in a relatively small town even. And now you've got, red light therapy, you've got infrared saunas, you've got some cryo options, not like a cryo plunge, but you got some other things that you just can't get anywhere else in some of these markets. Not for less than $200 if you go to our competition, and we're going to have it sub 100 options. So that's a long way to saying, like, now we can take these bolt-ons and do these other things when you focused on your core, like we were talking about.
And to jump into the second is, out of those three, the second is making sure that you're going to dedicate time talking to your members, talking to potential members, talking to members that cancel, talking to your current members, talking to people that are on guest passes, making sure that you are absolutely engaging with your members, and you can do it from anywhere. I could literally be doing it in Pearland, Texas, from this. The nearest town to me is called Staples, and it's 15, 20 minutes away. Like, I could do it from here. Mm-hmm. I can sit here and do it all day long and connect with my members and talk with them from here, right? So, and then the third is referrals. You have to work your referral program. You have to. I know that is hard for a lot of people to cross that bridge but you have to break the seal. You have to be able to go out and talk to members about inviting guests. Now, we're making it easier by trying to give members an opportunity to, like, gift things away, like David talked about earlier, but you have to cross over that bridge.
I thought about making it when, like, somebody refers somebody through the app, on the franchisee's app, it goes cha-ching, because that is like easy money. When somebody invites their friend, you should be thinking, that is the easiest money I can make. I need to get on the phone with them, like, immediately.
Yep. And that's why you have to cross over that bridge, and you have to talk referrals. I used to ask for their friends' names and phone numbers. I'll call them for you. Like, I would do that all the time. And that was really scary and really hard, because then you're picking up the phone for the first time. And you're like, hey, David, this is Marty up at Iron 24. A friend of yours named Jason thought you might really enjoy the club, so I'm giving you a month for free. When do you want to come in and activate that? Done. You're done. That's it. Oh, what do you mean? Yeah, David's a member here.
He's giving you a free month.
He thought you'd like a free month, so I was just calling you, letting you know that all you need to do is act. This is how you need to activate it. I need you to do it in the next couple of days, and if you want to take advantage of that. Yeah. No scam. This is no scam. Just, it's yours. Come use it.
Right.
And now, and then when he says, then when you see him sign up for his guest pass, what you're going to say to him, you're going to call me immediately and thank him for doing it and everything, and just letting him know that you're here to answer the questions. And then towards the end of it all, you call them again. And now you're going to talk to David about who he wants to refer when he becomes a member, making the assumptive close. It's like, these are really simple steps. Yeah. You just have to be able to do them, and you have to practice it, get the reps in. And, and I
think that's where it comes, where your background of living on the floor for like 100 years of a gym comes in so handy, is because, I did it too at my own gyms, but you know the value in all these programs that we're adding on, and we've you've seen the output of it. You've seen the output, and exactly, like, the struggle points. If you don't do these, you're going to struggle. But if you just do these simple things, you don't struggle. So
when you personally know that you need to get a referral and to talk to members about referrals pays your bills, because that paid my bills. I spent 13, 14 years of my life on the sales floor in health clubs. That's where I lived. And
that's why I like the little cha-ching. Like, you just know, like, okay, I'm about to get paid.
And when you know that you have to go out on the floor and you have to ask for 10 referrals from a member or from multiple members, and you get those 10 referrals, and you go sit down in your desk and you start calling them, and one of them comes in and books an appointment with you, that's exciting. That's a big win.
That's exciting just for the core offering, the Fitness Plus Recovery offering. But now that we've got Iron Health, that goes into a whole nother ballgame.
Whole new world
of, like, okay, this could get serious. Every single referral could be, $1,000 to $2,000 worth of membership for me.
Whole new world.
Yeah. So I think we've exhausted this week's time.
Yeah.
But I appreciate
today's time, because then we're gonna again this week. As soon as you're feeling better, we're gonna dive into those FAQs on what they should do first.
Yeah, I don't want
So
to go 3 hours though. I know you can talk to me for
yeah.
3 hours, but I don't know about you.
Unfortunately, I'm stuck up north for the next 2 weeks, so I have a lot of time to make videos with you.
You're like
So
a
it'll be
bear in a
fun.
cave just coming out of hibernation. Huh? Like, let's just do this every day.
Let's do this every day. So, all
All
right.
right, buddy. It's good to talk to you. If anybody's interested in joining the Iron 24 team as a franchisee or just talking to one of our guys on the Iron 24 franchise development team, go to the website, fill out the questionnaire that's there. It's real short and sweet. It's 5 questions probably.
Super easy.
Yeah. Okay, man. See you next
Awesome.
time.
All right. Bye.
Bye.